All right, everybody, we're back on the King Friday project, and this is going to be part 2 of the teardown. And as long as this video takes is as long as it's going to take, because I intend to get it torn down on this video. I'm going to do some time-saving things, most likely, like when I'm taking bolts off the backing plate and all this assembly back here. Probably won't have you watch every single one. We'll just cut, and once we get them off, when something interesting happens, we'll restart the tape. Where I left off before was, if you don't have the Briggs Stratton tool to hold the fins and you need some resistance to be able to knock your starter clutch off, your flywheel clutch, there's a way to do that. What you don't want to do is go jamming screwdrivers or things like that in between the fins, because you'll definitely break them. So I've already loosened this up as a matter of time. But basically what you do is you're going to take your head off. And if your flywheel nut or starter clutch comes off from normal threads, not reverse threads, you get yourself some starter rope or some cordage. In this case, it's dollar store cordage. And go ahead and put it in there. And you're going to start rotate the engine counterclockwise so it starts to come up. I'm trying to explain it as simply as possible. Throw a couple head bolts on, and what that's going to do, tighten them down. They don't have to be real tight, just snug. And what that's going to do is it's going to lock this from wanting to rotate, because the piston's coming up and hitting that soft rope, and it won't allow it to turn over. So now you can get on your nut, or in this case the starter clutch, and what I'm using is a big piece of round stock so you can get on that flat real good. And I've already loosened it up, and then as you can see, after a few wraps, it'll come off. All right, so I'm going to set that aside, and of course then take this off, and remove that cordage. So that's where we left off last time, and we'll get into it more and hopefully get this thing disassembled. All right, with the engine a little bit more in frame, and I got another box for some of the bigger parts we're going to take off. I got a big old brass hammer. You don't want to damage using a steel hammer against that. So with a little wrap, that's all it takes to loosen up the flywheel. Grab that washer. There's a key in there, and you don't want to lose that, your flywheel key. But I'm going to take this whole flywheel and put it right in this big parts box with its washer. Now the washer is kind of convex or concave shape, so it acts as its own spring to hold things on. And then before we continue on, there's a piece of tin that I had left on there. It's actually a 1/4 inch hex. So why don't we go ahead and take that off. Okay, that's got a little washer on it and that, so I'm going to put that in my hardware box, stick it up against my magnet in there so they stay together. And we go to clean it and get it ready for reassembly. Okay, so that piece of tin goes in the original small parts box. And where to from here? Where do we go from here? Well, we could get in here. That might be interesting. I think we'll start on that. Get this cover off. We'll get our nut driver. it seems like I'm kind of rushing through it. I don't really want to rush through it, but like I say, we got to get this done on this video. So people might wonder why it's taken so long to do this engine. And the reason is, it's kind of a side project. I'm not in a burning hurry to get it done. Actually, I put these parts in here in this other parts bin. And honestly, I lose interest in it. There's a lot of things going on, so I feel remotivated to take it out and do some more on it. And, so we got our points cover here. Got a little gumminess there, and there you go. There's our points. Condenser. And all that. Which is all connected to this. Looks really clean under there. Looks really nice. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. So I guess I'm going to get started taking this off. Start with our condenser. And I'm going to put all these little nuts and bolts in this separate container here. That with that. Have a little spring on the end of the condenser here, and for wires in there going through a hole. So I want to be careful not to mess it up. There we go. So there's our condenser and little wires. I'm going to put that in a small parts bin, and we're going to cut for now and take a better look at it. All right, I decided to stop and reset. This condenser has a hole for the wires to go through, and a little spring that kind of holds the wires. And as careful as I was trying to be, the spring popped off, and I heard it rolling around on the work desk. I thought, okay, it'll stop. Well, it stopped, and it's not here. It went to the floor somewhere, so I looked for it. I can't find it right now. Hopefully I'll find it. If not, it's not the end of the world. So I disconnected the rest of these wires that are kind of glued in here with this schmutz. So we can take the coil, I'll put it in the big parts box for now. I'm going to take this governor linkage right now because that's still hanging on there. We'll take that off. Man, I tell you, I can't believe I lost that little spring already. We're going to take that off, and I'm going to put that in the original parts bin. And next I'm going to move around to the back. For now. And I'm going to start working on this right here, which is these are 7/16. So I'm going to get started taking that off, taking these bolts out, and we'll get back to you. Yeah, the seams are going to be a little choppy in this one to save time, but I went in and I loosened these so we don't waste a lot of time hacking around here. It's fairly loose. this one out. Okay, now just for now, I'm going to keep this with this together. So when I go to clean it up, I have a better idea. This is a spacer that goes here between this bracket and that bracket. So yeah, I'll keep that in this parts bin for now. Probably in the way. Back here we got another spacer. I'm just starting to see that long spacer there. Sometimes it's awkward trying to get things assembled or disassembled and stay in a good camera frame. Try to keep it where you can see it. And like I said, I don't want to be in a hurry, but I have to be a little bit in a hurry because I don't want it to take forever in this filming. Here we go. Here we go. We'll put that part here. Take off this belt. I'm going to put this in the flywheel back here in the box also, just so I can keep things organized for myself and remember where everything is. And all right, see where we are with this, and I'm going to take another look at it and cut right now. All right, kind of tapping on this with my rubber mallet. I've never taken one of these apart before with the gear drive, so I'm being careful. So there's basically our gear in there. The teeth are on the outside, and on the inside is that pinion gear. And here's a bushing in here, and there's still a pretty good bit of gear oil. So I'm going to try to gather that up without making a giant mess. Put this in the big parts bin. And yep, let me get to that and then we'll get back to the film. All right, got all that gear oil dumped out. Actually, it didn't turn out to be gear oil. It didn't smell like it at all. It smelled like just regular motor oil that was in here. So I got that cleaned out into a container. These are 1/2-inch bolts here. There's 2 here and there's 2 here. Now the ones inside have these kind of these little lock tabs. So we're gonna have to knock that out of the way in order to loosen these bolts up. I've already pre-loosened these a little bit while I was there. And so now we're just gonna have to get in here. Get these tabs out of the way. That's probably enough out of the way to get a socket on it. Let's see. You to get a good bite on it. Yeah, that's enough. Let's get the next one. All right, that should get me in. I'm going to take this and put it in my new small parts bin with my condenser stuff. Keep it in frame. Here's our little tabs, lock tabs. And I did pre-loosen these to save time on the video. These are shorter. Let's go there. Pretty interesting. A little gasket here. Looks pretty shot around these edges, so we're going to need a new gasket. I'll probably just make one for that. Might find it, might make it, I don't know. Use my little rubber mallet. You can use a brass hammer on aluminum, but it's harder than aluminum. It's going to dent it, so little plastic hammer, rubber hammer. And that came off real nice. And now we're back down to basically an ordinary Briggs Stratton 5-horse engine, so it's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to put that in our new parts bin here, and then clean this up a little bit. Next, I'm going to get to taking these out, and this will be 7/16. Is that it? Yep, 7/16. So I'm going to get going on this, and I'll see you back in a second. All right, down to the last bolt on this backing plate. It's already loosened. Let's see, I saved a lot of time. Taking them off outside the camera, filming. Got some dowel pins here. Got 2 dowel pins. Going to be a little bit careful on this. So I take my soft hammer and I'm going to try to loosen this up. Okay, it's probably going to give me a little bit of a fight. There we go. Rubber mallet. I'm actually going to tip this back again so you can see inside. Pull this off, and here we are, connected to some gasket material, hanging on. It's our governor in there, and running out of room in our parts bin right here. I see some sludge. Yeah, it's pretty sludgy down there. There was water in here with the oil. So far I don't see a lot of rust. So now, let's take out our cam. A slight bit of rust on part of the gear there. Clean that up. And yeah. Get our tappets. Look to be okay, and if you look, one's slightly shorter than the other, so I'm just going to orient those so I can mark them. Got our governor stuff here, we'll have to take that off. And then work on our crank bolts. Fun stuff. I don't know if you can see in there, but on those end cap bolts, same thing, little tabs you have to remove. Here's our oil slinger. And things don't look too bad in here actually. So let me get on getting this off, and we'll get back to it. All right, I felt like I had to share some of my fun here with you. Basically, this is giving me kind of a fight. So I lift up the tab with this little chisel to get under it, and then I got a little punch, and I just need to bend it a little more, but I'm trying not to tear up this edge on the aluminum. That's gonna have to seal. And yeah, I whacked my knuckles a couple of times. But that's it. You just got to bend this tab out of the way to get a good bite on that nut, that bolt. So you want to get a good bite on that bolt because it's going to be a little slippery. So with that bent out of the way, start on this one, and of course it's going to want to rotate. It's kind of like Fred Flintstone chiseling away here. This one's going a lot easier than the other one. So I'll get under it with this. I know we're wasting time watching this, but I thought someone might be interested that you're going to have to do this. And you'll probably whack your thumb or your finger. Be careful, don't hit too hard. Oh, that worked. Look at that. That's bent out of the way. I'm going to be able to get in there with a socket and get those off now. Thought you might like to see that. Alright, just to show you what I'm looking at here. We're taking this bolts off the end cap. Because of this oil slinger, I can't get in on that one. So I've got this one loose. So I'm figuring I'm going to take this off. And I just got on it with this, and I gave it a couple of wraps, a couple of taps, and it loosened right up. I can't help but be in the way. But let me get this out. And the tab. Get this out of the way. Actually, the oil slinger is the tab. All right. Okay, what do we have there? We have a... Okay. So I'm going to keep this here, because I'm going to put it right back in the end cap once I get it out. Now what I'm thinking is maybe I can rotate this or something. Get in there. I'm going to have to get in there. It's a royal pain. I really can't get in there with this. I'm going to have to try some other socket, some other wrench to get in there. An open end or something. So I'm going to have to go get that together. But that's giving me a problem. So we'll come back when we get it figured out. Wow, what an unfun struggle that was. Anyway, I got this 7/16. It's a real small one to get the box end on here, and I'm fighting it because that tab is kind of mangled up and still on there. I tried to chisel it out of the way. You can only get a little bit of a bite on it, and with everything rotating around, I'm breaking the rules because I stuck a little screwdriver in there to be able to get some leverage. Finally, tap, 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 carefully, we finally got it. I'm giving up on it, but yeah, these are nice to have because there's very little clearance in here for a long wrench, so that was the only way I could get it, and I'm still fighting with it. Unreal. Very unfun. Stuff's supposed to be fun. That was not fun. I don't need this in there anymore. You're not supposed to do that, but I did it. Oh yeah, it's very hard to get a bite on this. I'm still having an unfun time with it. Still can't get it with my finger. It's just real slippery, a little greasy. Here we go. A royal pain that was. Still fighting with it. Sometimes this stuff isn't fun, and this is one of those times. Okay. Still fighting, still fighting, still fighting. There's some oil coming out of it. It's very loose. It's got water in it, so it's good to get this all apart. Here we go. Wow. What a battle. See, we bent that tab up in the process getting it off. But I'll just move it out of the way. Keep these bolts together. And now this is actually a more fun part. Okay? We've got our piston up there. And from the other side too. I'm going to give it a little rubber mallet tap. Okay. There be our crank. Here's our crank journal. Very nice. I'm going to sit this so that doesn't get boogered up. Sit it like that. It feels good. It feels smooth. Now that's out. Now, a lot easier to work with. It's a lot lighter now. Just push it by hand and pop that piston out, and there she is. So that's going to go in here. The part's bin. Just going to lay it gently on top. What a pain in the butt that was. Okay. Next we got to get to the valves. Man, oh man, oh man. Okay. Here we go. Let's get this valve cover off. Put this screw here for now. So we lost a little spring today. Hopefully I can find it on the floor and maybe drag a magnet around, but I guess it's not the end of the world. It's not really necessary to have it, I guess. We can fashion something up. All right. I don't want to waste too much time when anybody's viewing here. Gently pry this. course, the gasket is toast. There we go. The small part, I'll put it in the big parts box. We know what it is. And then we got our valves to contend with. Now, using a valve spring tool would be the right way to do it. You can also get a screwdriver in there. And for speed, let me get my hands a little bit unslippery and we'll get back.